So the next loop that we are going to try and cover is actually the while loop. So the main difference between a for and a while loop is that a for loop will run a fixed number of times until a certain condition is met, whether it meets a certain range or it completes iterating through a list. In the case of a while loop, there is no fixed number of times. It will continue running until a condition is met. So let's look at the syntax or the framework for a while loop. So a while loop always starts with a while and what is the condition. So previously in the if statement section, we always have a certain expression. In a while loop, it works the same way. Whenever this expression evaluates to false or not true, then the loop will stop. So while x is not equal to 3, just keep printing x and increase x by 1 every round. So again, this is an in-place operator. So another difference between a for loop and a while loop is that for a for loop, it automatically increases the variable by 1. But in the case of a while loop, you have to explicitly indicate it in your code, which is in this line. So what does this piece of code do? We first declare a variable x. So again, we need to explicitly declare the variable x and initialize it to 0. And exclamation equals is just not equals. So as long as x is not equal to 3, the loop continues. So this evaluates to true as long as x is not 3. Keep printing x and at the end, increment the value of x by 1. So in a flowchart, this is what it looks like. So when we start the code, we initialize x equals to 0. Is x equals to 3? If it is not equal to 3, then add 1 to x and print and come back here again to check. So keep doing this until the value of x reaches 3. So let's look at the code for this. So here we see that x equals to 0. While x not equal to 3, print x and increment x by 1 every time that the loop is run. So we can change this condition so that to control the number of times that the loop runs. So if I change this from 3 to 4, we see that it prints 1 extra time. So we can also change the initial value of x so that it prints 1, 2, 3. So depending on the values that you indicate when you initialize x and what is the condition, you can decide how many times or you can control how many times that the loop runs. So let's go back to our Grab driver example. So now instead of finding out how much he will earn in a week, this time he wants to know how many days he needs to work in a month before he can earn $4,000. Given that we do not know how many times that the loop will run, we can't really use a for loop. However, a while loop fits our needs nicely. So let's draw out the flowchart. So we start here and depending on, we start initializing the number of days that he needs to work and as well as his earnings to be 0. So here we will check, is earning less than 4,000? If it is, then go on to increase the number of days, add 200 to earnings and check again. Is earning still less than 4,000? Keep doing this until it reaches 4,000, then end the loop. So with the flowchart, we can now look at the code. Number of days and earnings is initialized to be 0, while earnings less than 4,000, then increase earnings by 200 every time that the loop is run, and increase number of days that he needs to work by 1 each time that the loop is run. So let's look at the code for this. So here, number of days 0, earnings to be 0, and while earnings less than 4,000, increase earnings by 200 and number of days by 1. So if we print out number of days, we realize that he needs to work 20 days. If we change the amount that he wants to earn, the amount that he needs to earn, we see that the number of days also changes correspondingly. So as long as you know how much he wants to earn, the loop will allow you to calculate how many days he needs to work. Hope that's clear. So that brings us to the end of the while loop. We will continue on the next video with the break and continue concepts. See you in the next video.